Hey everyone, it's Chris PHP here, and I spent a month working on a game for a game jam, for specifically the solo dev game marathon. Like I said, you had 1 month to develop a game solo, and that's what I did. I did it in Odin and Raylib, and I wanted to see how well I could do within a month's time frame on my own, and see if I could make something pretty good. Now there was no specific theme, and there was a cash prize of $200, but when joining any game jam, you really shouldn't be focused on whether you win or not. It's just about practice and learning and see if the idea you have is good rather than trying to chase actual money. And now that it's March, I thought I'd do a retrospective. All the reviews have come in and I know how well I performed. And I thought I'd just go back and provide my feedback on how well I did and what I could have done to improve on. And so we will go over it. So the game jam has no theme. Like I said, it was open-ended. You could do whatever you want. Which is what I kind of wanted, because I already had something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do a incremental game, so that was going to be like, I guess, my theme. It's not really a theme, it's more of a genre. You know, an incremental game, it's just where you sort of just click and money goes up. It's just a number go up game. And I had few ideas, and the one I stuck on was like a farming game where you just simply plant crops. You would harvest the crops, you'd level up, unlock more crops, and then keep doing that. So you lock more crops, plant more crops, and you would have more objects to do. You had like increased auto harvesting, you had increased money earning, increased XP, and it was just a really kind of simple idea. And it would then focus on building a sort of this dream farm you could have, like, so we can see in the core gameplay loop: plant crops, harvest resources, unlock new crops and boosts that increase your yield, build up and expand your farm to a large automated empire, which is heavily of what an incremental game should be. And in terms of design, players that it should be building, player just simply builds their farm up to their liking, so they can focus on maybe one specific crop. There's the depth, tuning between crop types. There's a little spelling mistake there, oops. The boosts and the upgrades, and the automation. You go from the manual clicking to the passive income, so you start just simply clicking, but then you have stuff that can do it all for you. Now that was the foundation. That's how the idea before beginning the game should go on. Was I able to execute on it? How about I show you what I had actually built? And first things, I got it to build on the web. So this is a web version, means I can just simply run it. Now we'll come across one of the first issues, is that it is not really scaled very well. It defaults to 1080p. Luckily it works here fine for us, but if you had a monitor that was smaller than 1080p, I don't think it would work. It would be all squashed like I saw then. And we can also see that the controls are just presented here, and the player could just play. So here we got a few options. We've got a nice piece of land that we can do, and then we can begin our harvest. So the player has an option of tools. We have the hoe, we have the harvest with the shovel, and we have the path. We can see that if we press E, we can open up the shop, and we have different categories. We have the boosters, we have the flowers, we have trees, and we have crops, and we can swap between each page. And it just tells you what level you need them with. So if I try and plant a wheat, you see I can't, because I first need to hoe the land like I can do here, and then I can then plant my wheat as such, like this, which is very nice. And if I I want to get rid of this piece of water, I could also cover it up as well, or I accidentally hoe a ground, I could also shovel that and remove it as well. You can also see that actually using the hoe costs us money, so I can't actually do any more to it. And you've also noticed this little square red has gone to green, so that's indicated the crop's ready. And now we can simply harvest it, and we see in the top right our money has now gone up. And now that because we earn enough, we can actually plant another piece of wheat, and so on and so forth. So we can keep clicking. That one's now got, we can hoe some more land. In fact, gone up to level 2 as well, which means we can now plant turnip. Oh, don't have enough money for it. And keep harvesting. And now we can have turnip, and you can see that as we keep playing, we'll earn more and more money, and the turnip will give us more money as well. Look, we hit level 3, now we've got the potatoes. We in fact have the rows as well, and so on and so forth. So I think I'll just stop there. We also had a bit of decoration as well. You could place some bit of paths as well. You can see here, which was kind of cool, and I kind of wanted it so you could do some expanding. So if I go off this, for example, you can see that you could encapsulate your farm like this. You could plant the beehives, which increased the boost, and you could have them all sorted out. That was the kind of ideal scenario. So you can see that we didn't actually hit really kind of all these targets. We didn't get much automation. There is an auto harvester, for example, that you would unlock later game. Strategic depth, it wasn't really there. You could use different crop types, but they just didn't do anything different. They would give you more money. They just give you money, and the XP the same as. But you could at least build it. You were able to build your farm, and we'll come up to some of the feedback that actually I did receive. One thing that I did think went well was the actual code structure that I built it with. I followed I tried to follow more of a design principle rather than bash things together. So each file should do that specific thing, and the way it's organized, I found it like significantly better to go through the player. For example, if I go to like the player, where is it? Player here. That anything that the player does is just handled by the player. They shouldn't handle anything up. So even really simple things like taking money away from the player, that's a separate function. Even if it's just a deduction to this, it's just that if any changes are made, I know it happens here. And when I can search for it, for example, where I can see take money has happened, I can see where this occurred. For us, it just happens in the player anyway. But that's one example. But others include, for example, the change ground tile type is a really simple function. I can see where this is occurring. You see it happens multiple times in the player zone, but the actual function is handled where it should be in the level. And all it is just checking, if it's within the bounds, and then run some of those functions like clear the auto tile and reinitialize it, etc., etc. Another thing, the fact that I actually just got it running on the web is awesome as well. Like, this is not a Godot where you can export it. I used Carl's web template where you can just convert an Odin application with Raylib into a web application, so it can just be run for the browser. And that's a big deal, because if I look at the analytics of the game, it actually got quite a few plays. We see 416 people browser played it, and the CTR was actually much better when it first launched because it was kind of fresh. Obviously, it's kind of died down because I think the game's not actually that really fun. It's not good. You can't really do much. You plant crops and there's no sound or anything as well, so it gets a bit boring. But it does even, in fact, some people even add it to their collections, which is pretty weird. And that does mean I want to update it, and I put the right tags in. And if I compare it to my when I did the Odin game jam with a while ago now, in fact, we can see if we check the analytics for this, the amount of people that played it are absolutely nothing. It didn't have a browser play. If this had a browser playthrough, I think significantly more people would have played it. And also, it only ran on Linux. I don't have a time to set up a Windows to compile it to, so probably that's like hardly anyone played it. So only 41 views and also only 23 downloads. I also just spent more time actually like presenting the page itself. Crop clicker, not crop clicker, root runner from the other game jam. I just left it as default statistics, and it was just white background, and it had like a generic image. Just when I actually had like I have a nice gallery here of all the different things. It looks quite interesting. I got a nice tile set. It can run in browser. It's got a good color scheme, and it looks much better. It just looks interesting rather than leaving as it is, and I think that also makes a big difference. So I go back on the dashboard, which we see we actually got a logo called Crop Clicker. It's like nice and little pixel art. It's got a few things that I did designed, so it looks kind of cool. And they just make a big difference. Like the presentation, I think, is pretty important. Even if the game is amazing, you got to get people to click on it first. Now, I actually got a couple of comments from people who participated in the game jam. In fact, I'll just slightly move my head so you can see that their game, this one, Warfish, I actually played that one. That was really cool, actually. That was a pretty good game. I think it was made in Godot, so well done to this person. This gave pretty good feedback. The game has a lot of potential, which I agree with. I think there's actually a lot of fun behind it. Like, it's just a kind of a simple mechanic, and you could have multiple people could have different holding entirely different farms where they focus on different things, and some feedback clicking, so you can hold, click, and slide. Yeah, you have to manually click, which is really annoying when you get back on it. Sound effects, yeah, no sound in it, and even probably like payments of like apparently Belatro, which I've not had, so I can't really explain what that is. But there's also tried that, and I thought the pixel nice, right. And also the growth stages, as you saw, it was just a little red square. They went green when it was harvested, which was a thing. Another one was just really simple. This was fun making my own farm. Apparently they reached level 1000, so they clearly enjoyed it. Sometimes it's just nice to go around and build it as well, so that was nice. How did Crop Clicker do? I actually did, I think, pretty well for a game like that. There was 139 entries, and the overall ranking was 63, which I think is pretty decent. In fact, that's over 50%, so top 50%. Which I thought was quite impressive because there was no sound, and the core loop wasn't amazing, but I think it kind of had some potential. We had 5 ratings as well, and the overall fun was apparently pretty good for ranked number 45 fun. The graphics were also pretty good, 47, which is kind of strange. Obviously, audio number 92, there was no audio, so I even got 1.8, it should be 0. I don't know how that worked. And the progress was a solid 63, so overall, I was actually quite impressed by how well I did. Who's given this a 4-star? Crazy, 3-star. But yeah, so a few key takeaways is that the code structure was good. I'm really proud of how I structured it. It's like it's easy to understand, and it was easy to work with. It wasn't some of my other projects where it's a bit chaotic, where you're just directly calling variables and changing them, and it makes no sense. This was good, and the result was just decent without a game engine. I think the end result with what I had was okay, and also I actually worked on it for about 3 weeks. I missed out on the first week. I was doing other things, so with that plus that additional week, I think I could have got some sound in it. It would have been much better. Maybe polish it up a bit more, improve that. But I did get a few feedback. It did show that like clearly people kind of enjoyed it, and it actually did quite well. Like people thought it was somewhat fun that they could build a farm, and it was ranking quite well, even quite how bare bone project is. If it's that bare bone and you're getting that kind of feedback, that's pretty good. But the ratings, that was quite a small pool of data sets, so it needs more people. And I am actually going to continue to update the game and see if we can get some comments within the description of itch.io pages, so you can comment and people can do that, and you can do like devlogs and everything. And I also think it will appear as like a recently updated or recently added again, like it's been freshly updated, and that we'll hopefully get new viewers to come in and whatnot and want to play it and get people more interested and maybe follow it as well. Another thing is what I'd do differently next jam, because when I did Root Runner was probably even worse than the previous one. Like it was kind of like a cool concept, but I never got really far into it, and the actual game wasn't very fun. You couldn't lose, you could do what, you couldn't really play the game. You just saw like roots grow, and it was really easy. So there was that. But this time it was even better. I think I maybe just slightly scale it back and maybe make it even more simple. It's kind of hard to determine because I felt like I was on a good track, and if I did that full 4 weeks, that full 4 weeks time would have been even more complete and better. Even if the game didn't meet the expectations I wanted it to be when I would have submitted it, at least I did submit it, because if we look at the statistics, we can see 662 people actually joined the jam, but only 138 submissions were made, which shows that a vast majority of people just never actually submit anything. Maybe they were working on something, but who knows? I'm not sure if these people just also joined because they wanted to see what games were made and they wanted to play them out. Who knows? But it tends to be a thing, because even with the Odin Holiday Jam, 160 joined, but only 46 people had submitted. So, 1/3 of the people in that one actually did something. And I guess the statistics on this one's even less, and less people even joined it. And unlike my first submission, my first game jam, I'm going to continue updating this. I've already been working on it. I've made it so now it can scale based on your screen resolution on a percent base. You can now hold click down like was requested, so I can do all this. I can then just go in and if I have a bunch of crops I want to plant a bunch of strawberries, I can just plonk them all down like so. And I've done a lot of back end things as well. Here's some of the things you might have not seen, like the auto harvester, the bee hotel, for example. It's a nice one. Sprinklers, pretty cool. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Look, and now you get some better feedback. How cool that is! It just shows you how much money you earn, and you can see my fingers going up like crazy as this auto harvester is happening. So I think that covers everything I want to speak about. Just a little retrospective. I can go deeper into the code if people would want that as well. I've made some good progress and some new packages as well that will help me in other games and projects, which is always nice when you're developing something for a game jam, that you do get something out of it as well, that you can reusable code. So I think I might do a video on that as well, on that little package, because I think it's quite useful and people will like it in the Odin space as well, plus Raylib. But if you enjoyed the video, comment down below what you thought of the game, if you participated, if you think the idea of the game is good, or you don't think it's that great and I should just cancel it. Don't be afraid, comment it, and say your piece. Anyway, I'll see you in hopefully the next video. Will hopefully be in a short period of time and not in like 100 days or something. See ya.